You can start, ma'am, now.
Happy day. Greetings from MOP Vaishnav College for Women and BL Amlani College, Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. The world today is not the same as few months ago. We are currently facing an unprecedented event and grappling its implications. However, in the light of such difficult times, it is better to choose an option that helps us wade through the crisis. Thus, focusing on protection and empowerment of a common man in the marketplace based on consumer rights and build a fair, safe, sustainable economy through consumer protection is the need of the hour. Going with the flow, MOP Vaishnav College for Women, in collaboration with BL Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, is here today with a galaxy of speakers who've agreed to share their expertise with us on the role of consumer for sustainable development. Thank you. Curtain raiser by Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan, Principal, MOP Vaishnav College for Women.
Happy day. On behalf of MOP Vaishnav College for Women, the Department of Commerce and the Consumer Club, I, Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan, extend a very warm welcome to all the participants and resource persons in this session. This session we have planned jointly with MKLM's BL Amlani College of Commerce and Economics on the role of consumer for sustainable development. I am grateful to Dr. Jitendra Aharekar, Principal of Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, for having collaborated with us for this effort. I appreciate the efforts taken by the head of the Department of Commerce, Dr. Sri Vidya Pratibha, and I am very grateful that Dr. Suresh Mishra, Dr. Vijay Tilagam, and Dr. Mamta Patania have agreed to be with us on this session. I hope we have a fruitful session and thank all the participants for logging in. Welcome once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Address by Dr. Jitendra Harekar, Principal, BL Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai.
Sir, unmute your mic.
Good morning, one and all. The day has come where we all have gathered. Heartily congratulations to MOP College for Women. The efforts taken by BL Amlani College of Commerce. Our resource person for today, our moderator. Special thanks to Edfly for providing us the platform. And my dear participants, thank you so much. Over to ma'am.
Thank you, sir. It's time to introduce our speakers for the day. Professor Mishra, Chair Professor and Coordinator, Center for Consumer Studies, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Sir has been an expert on consumer issues and has been associated with customer studies for more than 2.5 decades. Professor Mishra has conducted more than 50 funded research projects at national and international levels. His pioneering study on impact and effectiveness of Consumer Protection Act was well received. His project on food wastages in social gathering has gained him loads of appreciation. Professor Mishra has received the doctoral fellowship from the Indian Council for Social Sciences. He has completed a consultancy project for training civil servants in Afghanistan. He has also conducted training need analysis to access the capacity building needs for the government of Nepal. He has authored and edited more than 40 books and has to his credit more than 90 publications in journals of national and international repute. His major areas of interest include governance redressal, TQM, public policy issues, and public sector reforms. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
We also have with us Dr. Mamta Patania, Assistant Professor and Co-Project Director, National Consumer Helpline, Center for Consumer Studies, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Dr. Mamta is a gold medalist, both at her UG and PG level. She's been associated with consumer studies for more than 2 decades. She has organized more than 150 training programs, workshops, and seminars for various categories of officers, which includes senior officers, all India services, central services, and defense services. She is a co-project director of National Consumer Helpline and State Helpline, Government of India, IIPA. She has also been a member of UGC Committee for preparing modules on consumer studies, member selection committee for evaluation, grading, and selection of entries for My Government portal contests of Department of Consumer Affairs. She has also carried out a number of research and evaluation studies funded by the Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Her major areas of interest include consumer studies, local governance, rural development, and HRD. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker for the day is Dr. Vijay Tilakam, Assistant Commissioner, Department of Civil Supplies and Consumer Protection, Government of Tamil Nadu. Dr. Vijay Tilakam has more than 2 decades of government service in the Department of Civil Supplies and Consumer Protection. She's been a part of the Consumer Awareness Propagation Wing for more than a decade. She has participated in various seminars, workshops, conferences representing Government of Tamil Nadu. Promotion of consumer awareness, be it brochures, pamphlets, magazines, training modules, consumer club handbooks, and even short films for the Government of Tamil Nadu. You name it, and Vijay Tilakam ma'am has always been the brain behind the same. She has presented papers in national, international seminars, and has contributed articles to journals on consumer awareness. She has worked at grassroots level towards promotion of consumer awareness to self-help group women, and she is popular among Chennai City colleges as she coordinates the activities of Citizen Consumer Club. Thank you, ma'am. Over to Professor Suresh Mishra.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me thank both the principals for inviting me, and also thank the faculty members for organizing, and Shri Vidya for introducing me. So I'll just be making a brief presentation on the theme, which is that we have today. The most relevant one, I say the so I'll be in fact talking on sustainable development and what exactly it is, and what are the various goals of sustainable development. This slide is not really needed because a lot of introduction has already been done. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's look at the whole concept of sustainable development that we have been talking about. Even though it has been in discussion for a number of years, but very late it has really picked up because the situation has gone beyond human imagination that this is what we could do. So it essentially is that which meets the needs of the present generation, you can say the present times, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Now, this is essentially what we say that let us be more conscious that the earth has its own limits, and we have to also ensure that whatever resources we have, we should ensure that it is the future generations also enjoy it as we are doing. Now, keeping in view the whole focus on sustainable development, their sustainable development goals were adopted by all member countries of the United Nations in 2015. Before that, if you remember, we had the Millennium Development Goals, essentially talking about poverty eradication, better facilities to the people in various parts of the world. And there were targets that were fixed that within this period to 15, we have to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Now, Sustainable Development Goals essentially went beyond that. And essentially in 2015, all the countries agreed that they have the 17 sustainable goals which they have to give. It was a universal call to address the global challenges faced relating to poverty, inequality, climate change, environment degradation, peace and justice. And the target that was fixed was that it will be achieved by 2030. So it encompasses a lot of things, much beyond what Millennium Development Goals went. Now, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are integrated or interrelated to each other and recognize that development must balance the social, economic, and environmental sustainability, and as I said earlier, which is to be achieved by 2030. So all these development goals from 1 to 17, they're all integrated, interrelated, and they have to all move at the same time and then ensure that there is a holistic approach towards sustainable development that we are looking for. Now, out of all these goals that we have, goal 12 of the sustainable development goals essentially talks about sustainable consumption and production patterns that we are, which is more relevant to us in the current context that we are talking about of sustainable development. So goal 12, which talks about ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. Essentially, the world consumption and production patterns, as we all have been seeing, and we are all part of it, it has really gone beyond the capacity of the earth. So it rests on the use of the natural environment and resources in a way that continues to have destructive impact on the planet. Now, if you look at the current environment also, that is before the COVID, the kind of production that we have been into with pollution, all our rivers are polluted, the environment is polluted, there is not much relief for the human being on this, and natural resources are also being used away. So this is how we have the world consumption and pattern currently is looking. Now, the emergence of COVID-19 has underscored the relationship between people and nature. All of us are sitting in the house, and now if you see that once you just go out of your house, even if you sit outside, you can find so many birds. They're all chirping around, which were never there earlier. And because you have only the sound of the nature today, not the vehicles and other things that were there. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic offers opportunities to countries and individuals to reverse current trends and change our consumption and production patterns towards a more sustainable future. Now, if we do not really learn lessons from COVID-19 of how we have destroyed the earth and how nature is now taking revenge for what we have done to it, then I'm sorry that we really don't have a future that would be worth living. Now, sustainable consumption and production is about doing more and better with less. So we all are living for the last 2 months with very less. If you look at the consumption of home items, the way we used to do earlier, today we are spending much less. We are living in a much cleaner environment. We are using only those resources which are locally available. So essentially, this is what we are talking about, sustainable consumption. And it has to be really linked from economic growth, from environmental degradation that is there, the kind of economic development that we all have been following. I think that has been really harming the environment to a large extent. Even today, if you just look at the reports coming, how clean the rivers are. Even in Delhi, the river Yamuna, which was almost black, the water was so dirty and black, is today flowing so clean it is that you really feel happy that yes, we have destroyed the beauty of the nature. So essentially, we are talking about linking it out from environmental degradation, increasing resource efficiency, and promoting sustainable lifestyle, which has been part of Indian ethos and culture. We all lived very simple life we led. And even today, if you look at the rural part, I think they are much more simpler. They lead a better life, a better quality of life than what we in the urban areas do. Now, therefore, the current crisis is an opportunity for a systematic shift to a more sustainable economy that works for both people and the planet. Now, we have to really plan to shift and see that we look for a more sustainable economy where people also have a contribution role to play, and then you can save this planet. Humans have unlimited needs. That has been always emphasized. The whole Gandhian theory is based on this, but the planet has limited capacity to satisfy them. There's no doubt about it. And the more we are into the current model of development, the more we are destroying the earth, the more we are destroying our natural resources, and more we are polluting our environment. And for what? It is just to satisfy our human greed. So therefore, the need and greed concept, which is part of the Indian ethos, is now being talked about. Now, we must try to understand and appreciate the limits to which humans can push nature, as the impact is already visible. Now, COVID-19 has shown that the path that we have taken, that has really been a destructive path, a path that is not acceptable anymore, a path that will lead us to a world where we will have nothing. The whole survival of human being is at stake. Therefore, these limits must be reflected in our consumption and production pattern. We all talk about sustainable consumption, but when it comes to practicing and ensuring that we change our patterns, it really becomes a very a tough thing that we are looking for. So what are some of the current consumption pattern changes that need to change? Many aspects of consumption that with simple changes can have a big impact on society as a whole. It's not that you need to have monumental big changes. Small changes that we can bring in our day-to-day life, that is more than enough. That will change. Just like in COVID, every individual is trying to protect himself, and in the process, he is protecting the society as well. So here also, as when we talk of sustainable development, sustainable consumption, we need to practice sustainable consumption and see that small things that matter in our life, which we may think that they're not too important, but they are more significant when if we can change and live in a much simple way. So if you look at the about 1/3 of the food produced for human consumption each year is lost or wasted. So how much of our own resources, where millions of people are going hungry, but there are a lot of food is wasted. So how do you really reconcile to this fact? As I said earlier, water pollution is also a pressing issue, as we are polluting water faster than nature can recycle. You know, nature also tries to recycle and bring in the same amount of water but the time that is being taken for recycling is much less than what we are polluting. And if you look at the environmental degradation and climate change, which are critical issues, metropolitan cities, they're in normal times, they're just not worth living because of so high pollution. And because of the pollution, you know, there has been a lot of change in the overall environmental degradation. And you also find that a lot of diseases, especially respiratory diseases, are there because of the such pollution that is there. Now, in the context, if there is a pressure on the business can also use their innovative power to design solutions that inspire individuals. Now, business will always react to the pressure that comes from the consumers, what kind of products they are using, and to lead a more sustainable lifestyle, thereby reducing impact and improving well-being. So if you see that the recent changes that are taking in place in the market is also as a result of the preferences of the consumers themselves changing, where the plastic bag is not being carried. You have jute bags, you have such things which are coming in the market. And so therefore the market always responds to the taste and preferences of the consumers. Therefore, for an effective sustainable lifestyle, the consumers must also change their needs and preferences so that the market caters to their needs. Now, as consumers, the question is not how we can help. It should be how can I help as a consumer? Every individual has a role. If you think that somebody else is more responsible, then I'm sure we are really not addressing the problem that is in our hand. So I would suggest that there are two main ways to help. One is reducing waste. That's one where we have become a wasteful society. Reducing our waste can be done in many ways, from ensuring you don't throw away food to reducing your consumption of plastic and any other thing. Now, we have done a study on food wastage, which was perhaps one of the first studies to be conducted of the quantum of food that is wasted in social gatherings. You'll be surprised to know that the data collected from various parts of the country revealed that almost 25% of food is wasted in these social gatherings. In our own university and college seminars and conferences, you see, we have attended many, and we have taken a lot of pictures and photographs of how the so highly educated uh, people attending these conferences and seminars, when you see during the lunch, the plates are full of food which has just been thrown away. So how do you relate this to your life? That should be a fundamental question. Therefore, all of us should stop wasting, especially food and other resources that we are. Small things that will help us really save, and which I'm sure my other co-panelists, they have much more to say about these things, so I'm not going to. The second is be thoughtful about what you buy, and essentially you have to all look for a sustainable option that when we go out. Carrying a reusable bag, there's so much of talk about not encouraging plastic bags, not markets should not be there. Governments have been banning, but they are all there. Unless the consumer decides that I will not use these plastic bags, let me tell you, it's not of the job of the government to have policemen enforcing and running around and seeing that plastic bags are not available in the market. So the decision has to be of the consumer. The consumer can change the way. Refusing to use plastic straw, even if you have a coconut, that coconut water that you drink, I have seen in many places that they have a plastic straw even in such a beautiful natural coconut that it is there. So let's stop that. Recycling plastic bottles are good ways to do our part every day. That's, I said, small changes will make. Even you see on the in the highways or on the streets, people are traveling in fancy cars, but they just drink water or they drink juices and throw the bottle away. Now, is that the way the consumer should behave? Is that the responsibility of the government? Then making informed choices, purchases about what we are buying also helps. That how much do we need? What do we need? Can we do away without that? Every house has number of chargers today, so there is no standardized charge in mobile. You just see how much of mobile electronic waste that we have in our own houses, but we are not disposing, because disposing these is much more dangerous if we don't follow those way. If you can buy from sustainable and local resources, you can make a difference. Shifting to local resources, local things which are immediately available there, you not only help someone who's economically weaker, but then you also create a sustainable culture of sustainable lifestyle. This will also put pressure on business to adopt sustainable practices. And first and last, we all should believe in a practice more with less. let us look at our own houses, how much we have cluttered our own houses with things, and still we are not satisfied with what we have. Therefore, sustainable consumption is one that all of us as individual consumers should practice. The COVID has taught us in last 2 months that we can live with much less than what we really wanted or what we aspired for. A simple life does not mean a life which is not worth living, but a simple life really means that yes, we are not only contributing to our own development, but to the societal development. In the process, we are trying to save the Mother Earth, which really has no substitute for any. So thank you. This is my brief presentation. Thank you so much. Any questions? I'll welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking us through the goals of sustainable development and the role of consumers during this time of crisis. We now have Dr. Mamta Patani with us, who's going to take us through the Gandhian perspective of sustainable consumption. Over to Patania, ma'am.
Very good morning to one and all. First of all, I would like to thank the MOP Vaishnav College for Women and Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai, for organizing this webinar, which is very, very apt and timely for the present times. I would, as mentioned earlier, I would structure my talk touching upon the Gandhian perspective of sustainable consumption and role of consumers for this sustainable development. Now, as we all know, the concept of sustainable consumption is easily understandable in terms of statement of Mahatma Gandhi, which goes, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. Now, this statement is very apt and relevant in present times of COVID-19, which we all are experiencing for the past 3 months. We are stuck up at home, working from home, but at this point of time, we are realizing that the gap between the need and the greed is the only thing which used to create a lot of problems. And if only we inculcate this quote of Mahatma Gandhi in our lives and reduce the gap between the need and the greed and understand this, I think if not all, most of our problems get resolved. If we look at the Gandhian views on sustainable development, non-violence, rural lifestyle, the agrarian lifestyle, they are far more relevant today than they ever were. It's very important to share that Gandhiji never used the term development. Now, this is very, very important, and we all need to know about it. His vision of life implied a simple lifestyle which had a very low carbon footprint, which now we have n number of talks going on different platforms regarding reducing the carbon footprints, leading a sustainable lifestyle, and whatnot. Wherein basic needs satisfaction received primary rather consumerism, which in the present times has become a hallmark of progress. His own life, the Gandhian life, is a big example of the same. His major headways of his life's teachings include non-materialistic, non-exploitative way of living, which is based on interdependence between human and nature. Now, when we say interdependence between human and nature, we all understand that the interdependence is very, very important and we need to focus on that. But prior to COVID-19, we were not able to realize the pace of consumerism, the pace of technological developments which we were into, and we were just endlessly going and consuming things. Use of resources available locally without being invasive of on nature. Now, this is very, very important. When I say being invasive on nature, the local approach I would like to focus here, which in fact is the need of the present times, means producing things locally and giving them a global approach also, which in the present times, the Atmanirbhar approach of our Prime Minister, which has been focused and would be a hallmark in the coming times, is very, very important. Environmental protection found place of importance in the schemes of what Gandhiji told and talked about. According to him, society has to limit its wants, which is very, very important. Greed will destroy the world, and in this way, he focused on sustainable consumption. Now, this thing is still apt and relevant even today, and we are applying the same principles to our lives, each one of us. Green movements and ecological movements have acknowledged their indebtedness to the Gandhian philosophy. Uh, Cleanliness and sanitation were integrated part of the Gandhian way of living. As we all know, the Swachh Bharat approach. What this Swachh Bharat movement could not do, the COVID-19 could do it in 2-3 months. We have started washing our hands regularly, cleaning the spaces. Earlier, a prime minister has to pitch in and say that keep the surfaces clean, keep the country clean. But for most of us as consumers, we focused only me, my home, and my place. Nothing of that sort. And when I talk about Swachh Bharat thing, it was basically me, my family, and my home. Nothing else was there in our minds. We left it to the governments to decide and go on that it's their duty to keep the nation clean. But we were the contributors to the same. Simple living and high thinking still holds relevance today, and if only, friends, we can keep this thing in mind and keep our lives simple, things would be very, very good and apt for us. Now, there are three main stakeholders, if I have to mention, in the process of achieving goals of sustainable development. These are consumers, government, and business. Now, as the focus of the theme of today's webinar is role of consumer in sustainable development, I would only try to focus and deliberate on this only, the role of consumers. Now, as consumers, all of us can play a crucial role in sustainability. And for this, it is necessary for the consumers to make a wise and sensible purchase decisions, as Mishra sir also specifically said, what we are buying, how we are buying, do we really need those products or not. So thinking has to be there in our mind that consumption has a limit. Secondly, how are we consuming the products we buy? Are we reading the labels? Are these products having an impact on the environment? This is another question which we need to answer whenever we go for making our purchase decisions. How many products are being consumed? Now, when I say how many products, each one of us is so very much busy in buying things. And if you try to make a list of things at your home already in place, which you've not used for the past, let me say, 6 months or 1 year, the list would be long. But still, when we go out to buy things in the market, our list is still long. We want more and more. A very apt example of this is a simple gadget, which all of us are very much interested is mobile. All of us might be having not even a single mobile, but 2-3 mobiles. And still, if we find a better mobile or a better gadget which is available with our friends or peers, we would like to go for that very particular thing, that very particular mobile, which I think we must give it a thought whether we really require it. And as sir mentioned, that the amount of e-waste which is lying in our homes is something we need to think about it. The time has come. The need and the greed balance is very, very important if we go by this very particular approach. So friends, what we as consumers can be doing. So whenever going for purchase decisions, avoid buying things if you don't really need it. Now, this is one decision which each one of us can make when we go buying products. Each time you buy, you modify the environment forever. Find out alternate to goods you buy, pick from amongst the best ethically and environmentally. Now, the impact on the environment of the goods which we are buying is the thing which we only as individuals have to think whenever we go for buying. There are a lot of eco labels, eco products available in the market for which awareness is required amongst consumers to be socially responsible for the same and going for those products which would be very, very apt for buying. Make positive changes whenever you go for buying things, and of course on your buying behavior also. Now, at this very moment, the challenge also lies in creating sustainable energy systems, which is not only technologically advanced, but also conserves energy. Incorporate our culture into traditional values in our daily lives to achieve sustainability. We need to go back to our roots to promote sustainability. Now, when I say go back to our roots, most of us have already started going back to our roots. If you see the scenario of our homes, our office setups, most of us, we prefer ethical things, ethnic things, which find a place at our homes and office setups, and rather than going for very advanced things which we would prefer. The refrigerators at home, the basic things which we buy for our really lifestyle, advanced lifestyle at our homes, now we are preferring the, you know, the ethnic pots for storing water, which would be very, very good for all of us. Now, development must be in harmony with nature, and this, as very aptly shared by Professor Mishra, that we need to see what impact our buying behavior or buying decisions are making on the nature, which is very, very important. Good practices circulating regionally and nationally can be consciously adopted by each one of us as individuals, whether it's our needs or preferences. So this is again another important aspect which we all need to take care of. Now, when I say the ethnic part or the Gandhian philosophy to be imbibed in our behaviors, importance and awareness about green products and their usage, putting less environmental footprint, is also another important aspect which we need to take care of. So friends, in this direction, always adopt ways for healthy and sustainable lifestyles. Whether it is regarding our diets, whether it is regarding our consumption behaviors, healthy and sustainable diets is one of the important segments which we all need to adopt while seeing our consumption behaviors. Food wastage reduction, which Professor Mishra again mentioned about the different studies which we have done at IAPA regarding this. So food wastage reduction is one thing which we all need to take care of. When we go for consuming or filling in our plates, we don't ever think even for a second that the food which we are filling our plates with, are we going to finish it off? We keep and we throw away those plates in various functions and various seminars, workshops which we go, wherein we hardly realize that there are millions in our country who don't even receive a single meal in a day. So it's time to think about it. Water conservation is one thing which is again a very important aspect, which I think I don't need to focus and tell each one of us that whether what we should be doing to conserve water. Sustainable packaging and usage, which is the third aspect, which is very important as far as sustainable lifestyles are concerned. Many of the brands, they have shifted to packaging products, not in plastics, but they have shifted to paper bags. They have shifted to paper packagings, or the packagings which would specifically be biodegradable. So this is another important aspect. Sustainable mobility and ride sharing. Now, a lot of focus has been given, and we are trying that people pool cars, and they, whenever while going to offices, they should go for ride sharing rather than going in individual cars, which most of us, if 4 family members are there in family, all 4 of us have 4 different vehicles, and while we move on to our office locations, we take our own vehicles, which we are adding to the carbon footprint. Circular design and sustainable fashion, which is very, very important, which tells the use, production, and further when it is inculcated in human lifestyles, the fashion, the products are serving us to a longer time, rather than use and throw thing, which is very, very common nowadays when we talk about sustainable lifestyles. Build to last products. which is again a part of this philosophy only. And sustainable information means informative labeling on the products, which tells that the products are eco-friendly, environment-friendly, and would not leave an impact on the environment. Our consumption patrons need drastic changes to become sustainable. It is the responsibility of each and every stakeholder and every individual to contribute in their own way to help save the environment. Increased consumption basically should not be indicator of well-being, which we all have to understand at this point of time. So friends, avoid buying things if you don't really need it. Each time you buy, you modify the environment forever. And when I say this, uh, very apt and simple example, butterfly and relationship I would like to focus on here. You all might have noticed a butterfly sitting on a flower. Now, when the butterfly sits on a flower, it gently takes away the nectar and the nectar which it needs, and then it flies away. In doing so, it is neither harming the flower nor the petals, the delicate petals of the flower, but still it's setting up a relationship, a very beautiful relationship between the two. This wonderful relationship between the flower as a planet and butterfly as a consumer epitomizes sustainable consumption and sustainable lifestyle. Friends, an appeal to each one of us that please be like a butterfly, which is very beautifully brought out through this example, and all of us can contribute to this particular segment. This is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for laying emphasis on local and green approach and how this will take us forward. Now over to Dr. Vijay Tilakam, ma'am, to enlighten us on sustainable production, consumption, and development.
Good morning to all and all. Thanks to MOP College for Women and Namlandi College of Arts from Mumbai. I am fully endorsing the views presentation made by Sir as well as Mamta ji. When we talk about the sustainable development, we should always think of the. Could you please enable the share screen provision for me? Is it audible? Yes, when we talk about the sustainable development, obviously we have to go with the sustainable consumption and sustainable production also. Overconsumption will lead to overproduction because always the lifestyle goes with the consumption pattern. It is based on demand and supply. If the demand is more because of overconsumption, the product unit will be forced to produce more in number to meet out the demand. So we should always think about that one planet, one future for our concept. And the content what we are going to focus it today will be the unsustainability of our living styles. Of course, it was discussed by the earlier speakers very well, how the way we are having it and the consequences of unsustainable existence. What we are facing today, the natural disasters will be the consequences of unsustainable existence. Sustainability, how it could be defined, and what is sustainable development and what is sustainable production. Of course, sustainable consumption. Without that, the sustainable development, we can't imagine about it. So we should understand the impact of a production and consumption modes on the planet, more so the poor and underprivileged. See, when people of creamy layer and affluent section, we are using, when they started using more number of cards, as rightly said by Mamta ji, more number of mobiles, the wastage which is mounted to the society in any form, either the carbon emission or any waste on the earth, will obviously affect the poor and underprivileged, though it is not being consumed by them. So we should always have the social concern of the other group. Under sustainable ways of living, we have to follow right from food. As Mamtaji told, they have done a survey on not to waste food in social gatherings. It was quite interesting, and based on that, we have also conducted a rally on 15th of March to commemorate World Consumer Rights Day during 2015 to promote the values not to waste food or water. So the sustainable ways of living should be adopted by each and every individual. Normally, when CSR means, the dictum is defined in a broader way like a corporate social responsibility. But in other term, as a responsible citizen, we could coin it in a different way like citizen social responsibility. And in the consumer's angle, that could be defined in another way as consumer social responsibility. So here, we all of us are citizens, and we should realize the social responsibility as a citizen. And when we consume anything, we should realize the importance as consumers' social responsibility. That is very, very important. And how to understand about sustainable production and consumption will be the objective of this session. We should make students think about how they can contribute as students, future citizens, or producers or buyers to sustainable development in this project. Most of the students will become an industrialist or an entrepreneur, and they could take any kind of trade, and some could come forward to administer a big industry. So in that time, they should think how far the industry purpose, the product, the manufacturing serve for the society, and before reaching the product to the consumers, by considering the environment concern. For example, leather products. When we go for leather products, that industry gives most of waste which ruins the earth. As well as the dyeing, cloth dyeing industry. Whatever the water or wastewater which is loaded into the river or the canal or the tank or the pond will get affected the local community. So these kind of concerns should get inculcated to the future generations of our students, and this will be the object of this session also. What is our unsustainable ways of living? Energy and fuel. See, actually, we never bother about filling in any quantum of fuel in the petrol tanks, either it is diesel or either it is motor spirit or diesel. The thing is, we always think that we have the money and we have the affordability and we could go for it. But it should not be like that. As Mamtaji rightly said, that carpooling should be there, as well as cycling also should get revived to save the fuel energy. Money may be ours, but the resources belong to society. That concern should be there with us always. Money may be ours, the resources belong to the society. So, indifference to the short life of fossil fuels, oil will last for next 70 to 100 years, coal for about another 400 years. After that, what will be the fate of the future generations? Just think. The mere existence of human beings. So we have the responsibility to think about it. And lack of effective incentives for energy and fuel conservation is also one of the reasons. And lack of awareness about benefits of energy and fuel conservation. When Mamtaji was talking about the refrigerator, which has come to a comfort zone to basic need, when we go for heavy vehicle motors, electric consumables, we should always go with the star rating. A Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BEE, is giving away the star rating to all electrical products, and BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, is giving ISI certification to all electrical products, because ISI is mandatory for electrical products under Right to Safety, which is envisaged in Consumer Protection Act. So this BIS Act 1986 ensured the safety of the public consumers, and thereby the BIS is issuing the ISI certificate for electrical products. So by seeing the ISI, we have to go with the BEE star rating also. Max up to 5 stars are being given by BEE to ensure the efficient consumption of the electricity. So these things and all we have to always go with. When we do buy something as consumer, as citizen, and who is much interested in the forthcoming generation's welfare should always think about it. So the lack of awareness about benefits of energy and fuel conservation should we should get aware of it, or we should make the students to get aware of it, the young generations to get aware of it. We should inculcate the habit of saving energy to all young minds. Climate change due to carbon emissions, we know very well the carbon emission by using of all fossils, that only made this global warming, and the ozone layer has got affected, and so many things are being happened due to climatic changes. Food part was also rightly touched by the earlier speakers, but again and again we have to touch, we can't leave food from our because the survival, the basic amenities, food is the first one, and we have to ensure the food security to all, each and every living beings, each and every human being living on the universe. So, the statistics, the report of the World State of Food Security report says that 1,000+ million hungry people on this planet. So just think of it. When we waste some food, it is someone else's due, someone else's food. So we don't have the right to waste someone else's belongings. So maybe, as I already mentioned, money may be ours. Affordability, though we have the affordability, this resources is meant for some other person. So we don't have any right to waste some other's due. That we should be very keen on it. Diversion of valuable agriculture land for other use. We all knew in all cities, in all urban, rural areas, it is not much, but in semi-urban, urban and city areas, the diversion of valuable agricultural land is being converted into wetland to dryland classification, for either for constructing an industry, or for construction of buildings, or for construction of their own trade or business, whatever it is. So this diversion also is one of the reasons for the the prevailing condition of unsustainable food. Waste of food grains and food, we are not supposed to. In earlier days, elders used to say, if we waste the food, God will punish us. God will come and take away our eyes or vision. In future, we will not be supplied with proper food. So with that ethics, the earlier generations have been brought up and nurtured. But this also should be inculcated into young minds. Contamination, adulteration in food. These two topics were also very well touched, very well explained, revealed by Sir as well as Mamtaji. And genetic modification of food. See, nowadays we have all this genetically modified. How far it is good for our health, we do not know. That is also one of the reasons for unsustainable food practices. Water, of course, food and water. Still, there is a debate whether water comes under food or not. But water is the basic thing what we need it, what we human beings, our body itself is consisting some quantum of water. If the fluid goes down, if the will become very tired. So water is a very, very basic component for us to make our survival, and unsustainable water is the very pathetic thing what we do have now. And millions of people live without safe water or enough water. Previously, we used to take the water directly from the tap and consume. Now we are always ordering for the packaged drinking water, and ISA is mandatory for packaged drinking water. That ISA number is 14543. So if you have any doubt in that, you will be having that CML number in any packaged drinking water. If you have any doubt on that, you can just visit the BIS site, and you can text key in that number, so that will give you the result of the company manufacturing license. If it is really being awarded with the ISI by BIS, or if it is a fake company, that also you could know it. And then you can, accordingly, you can approach the BIS authority either over phone or through email or through online or through letter to take corrective measures to that particular product. So that is also, so water is very, very, what to say, most of the diseases is being caused by water. So we should be very cautious and conscious to, while consuming water, heat it properly, and make that sand candles to filter it, because the vitamins and minerals which nourishes our body should not be taken away by any other process. So please be keen on it. Water wasted for flushing down toilets and other non-critical uses. This really will be thinking when we flush it twice or thrice with a full tank only, will be satisfied, but it is not so. We should have the limitation by using the knob, particularly whether the half of the tank should get flushed or full. Accordingly, the wise usage should be done by each and every individuals. Water that rushes into the sea after rains and floods. We as citizens should have the rainwater harvest system in our residence, in our office, whatever the premises where do we live. We should educate the people and disseminate the information that saving water is a mandate for us, instead of allowing it to rush into the sea. So though we have enough rainfalls, the meticulous plan of action by each and every individual alone will save the nation. As the greediness, the neediness was very well defined by both the earlier speakers. I need not repeat it again. So destruction of rainwater harvesting structures such as ponds, irrigation tanks, etc. So this is need of the hour to take care of reviving the existing earlier rainwater harvesting structures. And as an individual, as a citizen, we should not make any harm to this type of structures. And then these chemicals, of course, we are in the growing level, and so many new invention and technologies coming to us, and we are being benefited out of it. So whatever the benefit we have, an equal opposite reaction, the balance will be there. The drastic growth will also have the drastic impact of the negative impact too. So that we should always think about it. Plastic that threaten to drown the earth, earth will be inhaling like how we do. So we should allow this earth, the mother earth, to inhale for her survival, and in turn to make us and give us a good survival. See, days may come to buy oxygen for inhaling it also. So nature is giving oxygen freely for everyone. When it started charging means we can't afford to it. So we should all of us think of it. So please say no to plastics. Don't use non-biodegradable plastics. Tons of bathroom chemical paints. So whatever it is, till the utility, whatever the level we can use the chemicals, only to that extent we should use it. And industrial waste. Of course, industrial waste should go with that environment safe, and by obtaining the proper certificates from the Pollution Control Board, which is the authority to certify the industries by assessing the waste and its pollution, and how if it is water, how the contamination will be, how much the percentage will be, whether it will be harmful for the people. So for any industry, it is mandate to get the certificate from the Pollution Control Board. Tons of electronic waste as computers, e-waste, equipment, batteries, etc. And e-waste can't get destroyed so easily within a short span of time. So that also we should think of. Maximum utility should be done by us. Farm chemicals, pesticides, weedicides, and fertilizers for agriculture concern. This is also coming under unsustainable chemicals. Then unsustainable lifestyle. All these parameters put together comprehensively coming under lifestyle. So largely driven by convenience, personal preferences, and financial capacity. Always we go with we correlate our comfort and convenience with the financial capacity, thinking the personal preferences. When we have more amount with us, we'll go to a star hotel. When we have a moderate, when we desire to spend moderately, we'll go to the medium level. So it depends upon our attitude, the mindset, the financial capacity. That is also coming under part of unsustainable lifestyle. Lack of concern about impact on personal health and environment. That we are not at all concerned about it. At least this is high time, as Professor Suresh Mishra ji mentioned, it is high time to think of the personal health and environment. And Mamta ji also very, very well defined about the Swachh Bharat. So we should have the healthy and safe environment. Until we have the healthy self environment, how can we think of our own healthiness amidst this untidiness. It is not at all possible. Indifference or lack of concern over effects of consumption on the poor and underprivileged. That already I have mentioned it. So we normally have the attitude, we never think of the other downtrodden people who are nowhere connected to this overconsumption. A lack of understanding of unsustainable ways of living or its impact is also unsustainable lifestyle. So what will be the consequences of unsustainable existence? Sure, it will. Unsustainability in our lives, increasing consumption leads to increase in production. So when production means automatically the waste in generation and pollution will be there. This is a supply chain view of well-being. Just think any production required for any product, the production unit requires raw materials, capital, and labor. So these three things together is integrated for the production, and through that we get the goods and services, and it goes to the consumption level, and it gives the satisfaction and well-being to the consumers. So from the consumption side also we get the waste, and from the production side also we get the waste. So waste will be from the dual sides, one in the end level, one in the production level, and at the end user level. So just think the waste will become double. If it becomes double means how the environmental condition will be. So that we should always think of it, and we should think very wisely before consuming anything. Outcome, a falling quality of life for all of us. If the production increases, the waste increases, the sustainable development will go down, and unsustainability will be there, and falling quality of life for all of us will take place. Worse quality of life for our children and grandchildren. The same thing was repeatedly telling by the earlier speakers, and I have to endorse it. So without that endorsement, this could not get accomplished. So are we the selfish generation? Yes or no? To be honest, I could say yes. We are the selfish generation. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are selfish. But selfish, okay, chalega. But shamelessly selfish should not be there. So are we the most selfish generation that ever lived on this planet? Of course, yes. But this is high time for us to take a changeover. Sustainable development. What is sustainable development? To give a quote, development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. See, development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This is the Brundtland Commission's quote. So the ultimate goal of sustainable consumption is to improve quality of life for all consumers in our and future generations while minimizing associated environmental impact. So environmental impacts is the primary impact. We should think of it, and we should always think of our social concern on it. And what is SD? SD means sustainable development. And what could be? SD is equals to SP and SC. Easy formula to remember by all of us. So SP means sustainable production and SC means sustainable consumption. So sustainable development have the formula of sustainable production and sustainable consumption. Unless until the consumption is reduced, the production is reduced, we can't expect the sustainable development. So sustainable production, how it should be? Production that is less polluting. We should have the concern. In future, when any participants who are listening to this webinar may establish a very big industry or MSME or small industry or entrepreneur, they should think of the production that is less polluting should get concentrated. Production that is energy consuming. More quantum of energy is consumed for a small product which is being pushed to the market for the consumers is not a healthy sign, and it is not at all a wealthy sign, it is not at all a healthy sign, it is not at all an ethical sign. So that also they should think of it. Production that consumes less water, again and again, say energy, water and pollution. These vectors are always integral part and unique part while coming to sustainable development and production and consumption. Production whose products are less or non-polluting. It should be a non-polluting product. And Mamtaji already quoted about that eco-friendly products. So we should think of that. And sustainable consumption. Obviously, consumption, it goes as a reverse formula. If the consumption is less, the product will be less, the development will be sustainable. It won't go to the unsustainable level. Sustainable consumption means satisfying basic human needs. Of course, the same thing, the Gandhian philosophy, not the desire for wants and luxuries. Just go with the need. Just go with the need. Just go with the flow. Just go with the need. This should be the basic principle of our consumer social responsibility. Favoring quality of life over material standards of living. Sometimes, all these material standards will be focused to take the quality of life. That should not be. Minimizing resources use, waste and pollution. Taking a life cycle perspective in consumer decision making and acting with concern for future generation. Please let us have a concern for future generation. That should be there always, because whatever the due and concession our earlier generations had, we didn't get it. It is getting diluted. Some got vanished also. And this should not be the fate of the future generation, to face more adverse impact and adverse things to inherit from us. So obviously the SC mantra, we used to inculcate this and teach the citizen consumer club members, all youngsters of teenagers in colleges, the SC mantra, the 5 R's. So please think that everything lies in our hands, not with the race which is on the palm, by reading the palmistry or so, but the way how as much as we work hard by using our hands and minds, we could win over. So that is the success of how to work hard to make a success. Likewise, you should always think of the 5 fingers, what you have in your palm. And these are the 5 mantras. Think of the Panchabuddha, how the body is constituted. Refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. These points were already touched upon by the earlier speakers. So just be bold to refuse the things when we don't recur it, and reduce our need. Prioritize it, and reusable things alone should be consumed by us. Please say no to use and throw culture. Just throw away the use and throw culture. Recycle. It is always good. Recycle. Don't waste anything, because everything is our hard-earned money. So whatever we get as a consumer from the market, we should be in a position to recycle it as long as it is quite useful for us. Rethink. Always we should ponder it over before buying anything, and we should be very wise enough to do it. And no session of mine will end up without touching upon the CCC. So Citizen Consumer Club is a wonderful concept which was announced by the Government of India under Ministry of Consumer Affairs 1.5 decade back, that has been started, and everyone is following the footprints of government. All state governments are following the footprints of Government of India and its regulations and norms. And in all education institutions, the CCC is formed. And through the Citizen Consumer Club, we are disseminating a lot of information, not only on Consumer Protection Act and legal perception, and we should be inculcating the habit of label reading, what Mamtaji mentioned, and FSSAI certification, AgMark certification, ISA certification, BE certification. So all day-to-day life, what they have to and how to make a sustainable consumption. So what can CCC do? Draw SC action plan, that is sustainable consumption action plan, for their college and school, as well as for homes and students. Maybe either the hostel or the home or the college, the plan should be the same. Implement the action plan, start with your homes, because everybody knows charity begins at home. So let us start everything from our home, thinking of sustainable consumption. Present papers on the results, whatever we do the survey, while write in papers and talk in media of the ideas, action and results. So that is being happen now, and what we people do in taking away the messages to all folds of public. Spread the message among friends, relatives and student groups. Is each one, catch one, teach one. That should be our principle. And this principle should be inculcated to all young minds. So young minds will be in a position to adopt everything very easily. So adult learning principle differ from learning of young minds. So the sustainable consumption daily action plan can be for sustainable daily living, like attitude. How attitude determines the fortitude. So attitude, water, fuel, electrical energy, LPG, chemicals, and food. So all these vital field should be focused to have sustainable daily action plan. Because in LPG also, some of the students will be teaching that LPG bottles have expiry period. Like alphanumeric will be there, like A, B, C, D. It goes with the quarter and the year. The life of the bottle it will show that also. And each and every LPG payment what we do covers the insurance also. That also we should disseminate. With this note, thanks for the opportunity. Thank you for my other guest speakers, Mishra ji and Mamta ji. And thanks to Dr. Jitendra ji and Anthra ji and Principal MOP College, Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan and Sri Vidya and other co-hosts. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure that each and every one of the participants here would definitely benefit by the SC's mantra. Now over to Dr. Anantra for the question answer session, followed by vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srividya. Am I audible? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much to all our speakers today. I'll just quickly summarize the session and then we can have the question answers that we have from the participants today. To begin with, Dr. Suresh Mishra ji has rightly mentioned about today's topic. He spoke about sustainable goals, the holistic approach. He also spoke about the consumption patterns, then how this COVID-19 has underscored the relationship between the people and the nature, and how it's going to reverse the role and the consumption patterns. He has also highlighted on the need and greed concept, the sustainable consumption, how business is going to react now to these sustainable lifestyle approach, then how we as a consumer are going to really help in this situation of COVID-19. Sir has highlighted all these points. Then we had with us Dr. Mamta Patania. Madam has given us a brief about the Gandhian approach and what are the different stakeholders that we have. In that, specifically, she spoke about the role of consumer and how wise and sensible decision of the consumers are going to play an important role in the market today. She has given us her insights on how best ethical and environment friendly one can approach and one can adapt an approach to have a sustainable development in consumption. Then she's also informed us, she's also focused on that we need to go back to our roots. Now, this is a time wherein we need to maintain an harmony with nature. She's also suggested consumers to have a butterfly approach. So thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Then we had Dr. Vijayalal Thilagam with us. She has given us understanding about the impact of our production and consumption modes on specifically with the poor and underprivileged people. Then she has focused on that how today's students, we can make them think about they can contribute as a student, how they can contribute as a future citizen, how they can contribute as a future buyer and a product producer for this sustainable consumption approach. Then Madam has also highlighted on sustainable energy, unsustainable energy and the food, wherein she has highlighted specifically on the food, water and the lifestyle. Madam has given us world state food reports. She has also talked about the security report, the contamination and the adulteration in the food. She has also highlighted on the outcomes of this unsustainable approach that we adopt and how exactly going to be the outcomes of that. Now, this was the summarization of the session. Moving ahead with the questions that we have. Today, we have got a lot of questions, but we are going to restrict to few. So my first question is directed to Dr. Suresh Mishra ji. The question to you, sir, is how we can impart sustainable development for education sector. So the participant is asking that how specifically for the education sector we can have this approach.
Okay, so lot of things have already been said, but if we practice sustainable consumption, we move towards sustainable development. That is the concept that is there. Now, educational institutions have a larger responsibility because the bulk of young consumers are there. Now, what should the education institutions themselves do? First of all, as Vijay has very rightly pointed out, water harvesting is a major issue. You go to a college building, if the inspection, you have everything fantastic. After the inspection is over, the all pits are filled with mud and dust and filth, and the drains are never cleaned. The pipes are all broken. So it should become a part of our life. It should not be just for the sake of inspection. We are not living for the inspectors, but we are living for a better world. So I think that is one role they should play. Waste disposal is another major important thing that they should promote and practice also. Simply having dustbins will not solve the problem, but ensuring that people use the dustbin and the bins are cleaned properly, they are disposed of, and the disposal is as per protocol that is all there. Plant more trees, make the campus much green, make it much more beautiful, make it remove all the plastic flowers and artificial flowers that are put during seminars and conferences. They should all just be done away with. It is better you don't have flowers than you have artificial flowers which are there, which are very bad. Okay, and then the question is, you have to encourage local food in your own canteens, where see that what is healthy, hygienic, it's easily available, it's not that is there in the canteens and children eat. Then the institutions have to reinforce the concept of sustainable development and sustainable lifestyle. That is through debates, discussions, poster competitions. See, you have to make it a part of our day-to-day life, only then. And then, through setting up eco clubs that some of the colleges have done a wonderful job. The eco clubs are doing. The Ministry of Environment supports. So I think the education institutions should take care of some of these basics which are there. And I think then it really, as far as the students are concerned, I have seen a lot of food being wasted in the education institutions. I have the privilege of having a lot of seminars and workshops with many of the, and a lot of food is wasted. I think the institutions should ensure that food should not be wasted. The children should understand that there are millions who go hungry, and the focus should be on taking only whatever you need and just don't fill up your plates, even though you're not going to finish everything. So food wastage, we have been talking about a lot. Use of available resources. When students leave the classroom, it should become a habit that they switch off the lights. I think that I've seen just people walk away, and that's something. See, we have to make it a part of our daily life. We cannot just say that we have a certain occasions and we feel happy. And now in Delhi and central government, they have replaced all their tube lights and other lights with LEDs, so that you reduce the consumption. It's a one-time investment, but it's worth it in the longer run. It is there. Then the students should be also asked to practice basic health and hygiene issues that are there. And I'm sure the mask is going to continue for some more months, even after schools reopen. And children should be asked to bring sanitizers. These institutions should provide sanitizers at public locations wherever they are there. And then ensure that wearing mask is compulsory, mandatory, and it's not that they are just having it for fun. It is there. Once you practice some of these small things, which Dr. Vijay and Dr. Mamta has also said, I also said earlier, nothing big. These small things, if you practice, sustainable consumption, which is going to save you, and in the process, you will be saving the earth. So I think education institutions have a great role to play. Many of them are doing very good work also. They are doing.
Right.
Thank you. And about another about use of RO, the National Green Tribunal has already issued directions to stop ROs.
Right.
Okay? So education institutions should switch over to the ethnic old modes of water. ensuring that they are clean, because RO is finishing off all chemicals that are needed, vitamins and other things, and also a lot of water is wasting through ROs. Thank you. Thank you for the question. I hope the others will supplement if
Yes,
anything else.
yes, sir. Very rightly said. So whenever, whatever things that we always say, we have to practice it. So as you
Yes.
rightly said, it has to be a part of a life. If we depend on somebody else, that somebody else will take a step, it is never going to happen. We have to start practicing it. And education industry, that is the best platform to initiate. So as you rightly said, that when we switch off those lights, when we replace those two LEDs, it's going to work on. So when we say sustainability, it's more about how ethical you are being to in a long run, and how we are actually practicing it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So my next question, we have a next question here. The next question to Dr. Mamta Patania. As you spoke about the Gandhian approach, one of the participants is asking you to give some examples wherein we see this Gandhian approach is in practically implemented in today's time. So can you please give some examples wherein Gandhian approach has actually been practiced in today's time?
Sure, thank you
With
for the
special
question.
reference to the consumer.
Yeah, very relevant question. And as I said earlier, that Gandhiji's life itself was a example and a thing which we all should be inculcating in our lives. Similarly, the present times, the past 2-3 months, each decision which we are taking during the COVID times is a practical example. Starting from a few of the things like in these 2-3 months, we specifically are managing with the things which are available locally, rather than going to malls, shopping malls, or big shops wherein we used to go. We used to see sale anywhere, buy one get five free. We don't know what to do with those 5 products which you are getting free, but still people had a habit of, because this is we are getting free, we need to buy, without ever thinking that what the 5 free which we are getting are we going to do, because that would not fit anyone in your home, but still we used to buy. But now these 2-3 months, the practical thing is quite visible, that we have limited our desires. That need greed which I was focusing earlier, the Gandhian approach, the need greed gap has reduced a lot. We have started living with limited desires. We are managing with the local things available. So this is one practical aspect. The second aspect is not during the COVID times, but earlier also, the standard labels which are available in the market. People have started preferring the eco labels, or as Vijayaji mentioned, the BE marks or the eco marks, the products which are good not only for us but for the environment also. Swachh Bharat approach is another practical example which not prior to COVID people were adhering to, but now this is very much visible in each one of our lives, that we are focusing more on sanitation, cleanliness, which is now I think become a part of our lives. Washing our hands every hour is one thing which is part of our behavior now. Similarly, simple living, high thinking, which we have started doing in our lives. We all should remember that rights and responsibilities go hand in hand. And if each one of us as consumers, we decide to understand this, that it's not only rights we have to keep on shouting about, we have to think about our responsibilities, and each one of us doing our responsibility in a better manner. Small steps do matter, as Professor Mishra said. And I would only answer this in a brief statement, that when we talk about sustainable lifestyles or sustainable development, it is not only a thing which has to be there in our thoughts, it has to be in our behavior, it has to be in our actions. That is what is required in the Gandhian approach. Very apt today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mamta ma'am. So the best is when we say the practical approach for the Gandhian theory, the going local. That is something the most important. Swachh Bharat. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now the next question that we have is for Dr. Vijaya. Ma'am, the question is, the participant is keen in knowing, is the sea water desalination is a solution for unsustainable water? Can it be a solution for unsustainable water? Seawater desalination. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, there's globally they should think of it. If any model is being implemented by anywhere else is successful, it will be a policy decision by the government to adopt it.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So it is going to be one of the useful key. So thank you so much, all the eminent participants. We really had a very fruitful session, and it was really a great informative session for all the participants. They have got, in fact, every insight, or they should know about all the rules and regulations, the pattern that they should adopt in consumption. So it was a great, I would say it's a platter on the consumer sustainability approach. Thank you so much. Now we have with us people from EdFly, a person from EdFly, Mr. Viral Dedia, who is providing us the technical solution. He will, I'll invite him to speak about EdFly. Viral, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible enough?
Yes, Viral, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, ma'am, for this introduction. And it was a wonderful session in the morning. So let me quickly begin with what EdFly is all about. Let me start by sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So EdFly Learn, we are a e-learning platform for all those passionate teachers who are wanting to integrate digital learning for their students. I'll keep it a little short. If required, we can share the instructions on using this platform on the WhatsApp groups. So broadly, as teachers, what do you want your students to do with technology? So here are some of the right answers and wrong answers both together. So we are not wanting them to learn how to use digital tools. Okay, we are going to use this technology as an enabler, as a tool for our students for their learning. Okay, for them to understand concepts, raise awareness, find answers to their questions, take actions, drive change, and so on. So these are the key tools. So I don't think that I've got a lot of questions that is technology going to replace teachers? So I don't think that is what it is. It's just an enabler. It's just a tool for the teachers who are passionate enough to incorporate digital learning in their pedagogy. So these are the various things that you can do using, to use the digital tools. I'll just keep this. You can use this. You can refer to this later also. Let me also share why e-learning is going to be so exciting from here on. India today is the global leader in monthly data consumption. We have got an average usage of about 9.8 GBs of data per month, and we are one of the cheapest internet services that is available across the globe. So these are some statistics which is very interesting for e-learning. Okay, so why do we need an LMS? Why do we need some e-learning platforms? As we are aware, right now, the situation is where you cannot have physical classrooms, you cannot have physical learning approach. So you would want to still connect with your students, maintain various databases, have students engagement and so on. So these tools, these online tools are something that you can use for leveraging the situation, leveraging on the current situation. Our platform is called as edflylearn.com. Broadly, as a teacher, what all facilities do you require from an e-learning platform? So just to highlight some of the features, one is you would want to create your own course, upload your own content. Second is you will want to have a virtual session, a live video conferencing session with your student. Third is you would want to have, at the end of this, you would want to have an examination or assignments or something like that. So these are the three things. Apart from this, you will also want to communicate, have interaction with your students. You would want to have some engagement. You would want to have this content available with the students in a easy format. So these are the basic features that you're looking at from any e-learning tool. And I'm sure you'll need more tools for creating, for curating good quality content and so on. However, from content delivery perspective, we've been able to incorporate all the features that I've just spoken about on Edfly Learn. So these are the basic things that you can do on Edfly Learn. You can create your course, you can add content, schedule a lecture, invite your students for the course, and so on. These are the various things that you can manage, various databases that you can manage over the platform. Some advanced features are assignments, advanced course management for institutes, content store, assessment. There are many more features. Once you join the platform, you will be able to explore. This is one of our college structures that we typically have. And this is something that you can also emulate exactly in the same fashion on the platform. So this will make your life easier. We have seen quite a lot of platforms where you're not being able to emulate these structures. However, I believe that this is something which you can use for sure. Let me come to some key concepts that I would want to talk about right now. So we have built a content store on our platform. We've got a huge population of teachers available in this country, and we've got teachers who can actually create or curate really good quality content. So this is a content store for them. So all these teachers can upload their content onto our stores, and they can keep it open to the world. So other teachers who are not equipped, who do not have the infrastructure, who do not have the knack of curating this content, can also incorporate this content in their learning. With the amount of users who are joining on board and the amount of content that is curated onto our clouds, as this is happening, security is one big concern today. All our users are encrypted, are signed in via a double layer security layer. First security is all the users are OTP verified mobile users. And as we are all aware of, all the mobile numbers are KYC compliant. Just in case anything goes wrong, we can trace back to the source. And all the collaborations that we have done, all the platforms that we have collaborated with, only the users from Edfly Learn will be able to use those tools. So what I'm saying is, if your students have joined Edfly Learn platform, and if they have joined your course, only then they will have access to your content. Only then they will be able to access your lectures. Okay. So it's very secured. Learning without security is very dangerous. So we have taken care of that. And we are also running multiple programs. I'll introduce those also. So we are running various beta programs for some of our pro users of the platform. We are running content program. We've got more than 500 teachers across various disciplines who have joined our content program and are curating content for us. We are running multiple faculty development programs. We've also got a lot of feedback from a lot of teachers and parents and students, which we have been able to incorporate. And we've also released some guidelines for effective learning in these days. And we are collaborating with multiple platforms as we talk. We have collaborated with Zoom, Google Meet, Amazon Chime on the video conferencing tools. We have also joined, we are also integrating with Kahoot and some other platforms. So in the same format at Edfly alone, I don't think we'll be able to cater to the needs of the e-learning platforms by our educators. So we are doing this via collaboration. So check out our product edflylearn.com. We'll share some steps on how to register and all that on the WhatsApp groups in some time. We are a ERP solutions company only dedicated for educational institutes. We are only catering to education technology. We've got our signature platform called onfees.com, where we are running online admissions and fees. We have been running admissions for degree colleges for about 30 degree colleges in Mumbai. Last year, we have done more than 4 lakh transactions from this platform. We also have HR, payroll, library, communications, mobile apps, postal management, and various other features, exam management, and 24 such modules across our platform that you can try with. So just in case for the institutions who are struggling to go live, who are struggling to go live right now due to this situation, can contact us and we'll be more than happy to help. I'll also post my email address and our website details on the YouTube chat. So that's all. Thanks a lot. I hope the whole thing was meaningful, and over to you, ma'am. So that's all for now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Viral. Thank you. So here we have come to an end of today's session, role of consumer for sustainable development. It's a great pleasure for me to propose vote of thanks. I express my great gratitude towards today's resource person. You have been really very informative to all the participants and all of us. Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh Mishra ji, Chief Chairperson and Coordinator, Center for Consumer Studies, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Vijayal Tilagam, Assistant Commissioner, Department of Civil Supplies and Consumer Protection, Government of Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. I also thank Dr. Mamta Pathania, Assistant Professor, Co-Project Director, National Consumer Helpline, Center for Consumer Studies, New Delhi. Thank you so much to all the eminent speakers. It was really great hearing you all. Thank you so much. I also like to express my thanks to both the institutions who have joined hands together and organized today's program. The College of MOP Vaishnav College for Women's Autonomous Chennai, Department of Commerce and Consumer Club, MOPVC, and MKCS BL Amlani College of Commerce and Economics, MR Mathwani College of Arts, Vile Parle, Mumbai. My special thanks to both the principals, Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan, Principal MOP Vaishnav College for Women, for taking this great initiative, Dr. Jitendra Ahirkar, Principal BL Amlani College of Commerce and Economics. Thank you so much, sir. My special thanks to EdFly team for providing us the technical solutions for today. Thank you so much, Manisha Thakur and Viral Bhedia. Thank you so much. Now, last but not the least, special thanks to all the participants. We have a participants today from the entire India and international level. People are watching this on YouTube. The entire session was live on YouTube and it has received a great response. Thank you so much. I officially announce that today's program is ended now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks and best wishes.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all.
Thank you so much. Looking forward for more such initiatives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.